Okay, so now we are in the topic of conservation of energy. So we've seen before the principle of work and energy, how, through that principle, some of the energy is transformed into work. So energy can be lost or energy can be, we're not, transformed or basically, lost as a form of heat or sound, or, sometimes that potential energy can be transformed and help you gain velocity for kinetic energy. So again, we're not creating energy, but we're just transforming it. In this case, for the conservation of energy, we are solving problems where that energy in the system stays constant. The only thing that changes is in which way you found it, whether it's that in kinetic energy or in potential energy. So here we have a couple definitions. So we have conservative forces are those forces whose work is independent of the path and depends only on the force's initial and final positions, such as the weight and the spring force. So if you have weight or you have a spring, once again, the forces is independent of the path. If you pull a spring upwards or downwards or sideways, it's always going to have the same amount of force. Same thing with weight, whether you have it, in one direction or a certain direction or up or down, you're always going to have weight acting in the downwards direction, right? Those are conservative forces. And then we have there are non-conservative forces, so non-conservative, which are those forces that work whose work depends on the path between the states. So the longer the path, the greater the work. And the work is dissipated from the body in the form of heat. So for example, friction. Since friction, right, the form for friction, it's, mu k times n. And if you're doing work from friction, then that's a friction force times the displacement. So the longer you displace it, the more friction you are experiencing, more work through that. So for friction, it is dependent on the path that you take. If you, move a little bit, friction is only going to act a little bit. If you move a lot, friction is going to, be there a lot more. So those will be the non-conservative forces. So in this case, I know we already were working this, but energy, we're going to define it here as the capacity for doing work. So how much capacity does your system have? So capacity for doing work. So your system might have, more capacity, meaning more energy, and we have more energy, then you can do different types of work. If you do over here, when it comes to motion, then you will have what's known as the kinetic energy, right? We've already seen it before, which is a measure of the particle's capacity to do work associated with the motion of the particle. So your particles are moving, then that capacity to do work, it's called the kinetic energy. Now, when it comes to the position of where those particles are, in space, that's when we use potential energy. Where potential energy is just a measure of the amount of work a conservative force will do when it moves from a given position to the datum or from a reference point, right? If it moves up an object, then it will have higher potential energy. So for kinetic energy, the equation is pretty simple. Once again, we already seen it before in the previous videos, but just redefining here. Kinetic energy is equals to 1/2 mass times velocity square. We've seen it before how it's derived. However, for position, we have different types of potential energy. We have gravitational potential energy. So we define it here by V, lowercase g, so potential energy when it comes to gravity, so gravitational potential energy. And this is equals to the weight times the change in height. And yes, notice it's the same formula that we did for work due to gravity, but in that case, the work due to gravity was always considered a negative value. In this case, we're talking about energy. Energy is also a scalar, so we treat that as a positive value, right? Based on a reference point. And then you have elastic potential energy, so that's a VE, potential energy due to the elastic or a spring. And this also always a positive value, and this is 1/2 k times delta S squared. So if you stretch a spring, you know however how much you stretch it, that amount you square it, and that is the elastic energy. And you can read there the definition from the notes to figure out you know why they're positive and the other ones for work are negative. Anyways, if you have a system that has both, you know, I mean, most of the time you will always have potential energy gravitational, but sometimes if you have a spring, you can have also the elastic potential energy. So the overall potential energy function, it's equals to V is equals to Vg plus Ve. So the amount of potential energy from gravity and from elastic work. So whenever we have non-conservative forces, let's say we have friction in our system, our equation for conservation of energy will be the following. So we have T1 plus V1 is equals to this, or not equals, is plus the sum of work done by non-conservative forces, right, from non-conservative. This is equals to T2 plus V2. So the energy at once before and the energy after will be different. So more than likely we'll have that the energies at the beginning, T1, V1 are gonna be, or the whole system at state 1 is probably gonna be higher than at state 2, because some of the energy was lost due to friction, due to heat, you know, due to sound, etc. But in the case when there's non-conservative forces, when we only have conservative forces, such as, you know, weight and the ones that we explained, our equation for conservation of energy would look like T1 plus V1 is equals to T2 plus V2. Once again, we have kinetic energy, so we can write it as kinetic energy the first time. The potential energy at state 1 is equals to kinetic energy at state 2 plus potential energy at state 2. I'm writing it like this so you guys can also, you know, don't get confused with the information right there. So that is the equation for conservation of energy. We're gonna do a couple problems now, but that's pretty much, you know, just summarizing what the difference between kinetic and potential energy is, how they act. If we have conservative forces, we might lose some energy. If we have only work or energy done through conservative forces, then the whole energy at state 1 will be the same amount of energy at state 2. And it just be transforming between kinetic and potential, right? If something goes up, it will, you know, might gain potential, it might lose kinetic, and if something falls, they will gain kinetic, lose potential, you know, it will be transforming between one and the other. So let's do a couple examples of this, and then that should be it for this lecture.